You're listening to the Really Very Crunchy podcast with your hosts, Emily.
And Jason. Emily, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ida.
Ida who?
No, it's Idaho. Yeah.
Actually, the reason you're telling that joke is on tour.
Yes.
The sweetest little boy.
Yes.
Do you remember his name? Finn? Was it Finn?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
He
At
gave
the moment, I will remember if I think about it.
He asked you to tell that knock knock joke on the podcast, and he gave me a little bracelet.
It was amazing.
And it was actually one of the highlights of the tour. We're going to talk about highlights of the tour on today's episode.
Yeah.
But one of them was when he was getting his picture taken with us, he put his little hand around my waist. Like the way he did it was so adult.
This was a different kid.
Sounds weird. No, it was that kid.
Kids.
No, it was that kid.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was that kid.
I thought it was two different venues that happened at.
No.
Oh.
Adrian, Michigan.
Okay.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
He was adorable.
That's awesome.
Precious.
Man, what a whirlwind that was. That's not negative, is it? Because I wasn't trying to be negative. Whirlwind, it was fun. It was crazy.
In a good way.
Whirlwind in a good way.
Like when you go to a water park and they have...
The whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You chose it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it
we
was
chose
fun.
this whirlwind, and it was fun. Yeah. We spent 10 days on the road, which is not a long tour.
That's not very long, but with kids... Several people messaged me like, I'm sure you're ready to get back to your kids. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
They came with us.
We've been with our kids more than we could have ever imagined.
There's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
All the way up to Michigan, all the way down to Georgia, back up
To Cincinnati.
up to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then back west.
You know, I feel more,
Legitimate.
well, yeah, I mean, been on tour. No, I feel for people who tour their whole life, like, or at least their whole career. Well, some people their whole lives. You got traveling family bands who just tour, you know.
Okay, but I know what you're going to say. Like, it's hard. You never know where you're going to sleep. That kind of stuff.
No, you usually have that planned out. We didn't go, like, begging for places to sleep.
No, but, like, you don't know what it's really going to be like.
Well, we
that
didn't.
Hampton Inn was a little rough.
Yeah, it was. That one. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Is that what you were going to say?
Nope.
Or, oh, okay.
I was just going to say that I feel for, you know, we were touring with Dustin Lawley and his wife, Sarah. He's the lead singer of Sanctus Real, and he plays like 70, 80 shows a year. And that's a lot being on the road. And we did 10 days, 5 shows, and I felt like it was a lot. So he's only got, 8, 9 times more than that, depending on how his year is. But
when you're home, you're home.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
That is nice. Except
unless you also have to create music for an
stuff
album.
too. I mean, you do at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, we had a very wonderful, great time. A really very good time.
Thank you, all the podcast listeners who came out. I mean, there were
so many.
So many
of you came out, and it was amazing.
One couple drove from
Lancaster.
Pennsylvania, not Lancaster.
It wasn't Lancaster? They're near Lancaster.
9 hours away from where we were.
Yeah.
Drove.
Wow.
To hang out with us.
We're like, well, was there at least some family in the area? No, we came to see you. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm honored.
Honored, yes.
Deeply honored.
Not sorry.
First things first, we do have a very limited number of t-shirts left from the tour. We are offering them to you first.
The podcast first. Podcast
Where
listeners.
can they get them?
reallyverycrunchy.com/store.
Ooh.
Yeah, I made it today. Or just the link in the description or show notes. Podcast listeners only. It will eventually go out to
email list
next. And then if there's any left, it'll go on social media. So if you see it on social media, you guys have not responded. So
it is an extremely limited number, though.
Yeah.
There's enough to just fill our little window.
We have a little
here, window bench seat, and it's just like
people really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Let's show them for
They're
people who can
comfort
see it.
colors for if you're watching this. I'm wearing one. They're like a heavier weight t-shirt, but
Very
still
nice.
nice. Yeah, 100% cotton, so breathable.
Okotex certified.
Here. If you're watching,
I'm not sure what that
I
means.
named them the colors Raw Milk, which is a creamy color, and it has blue writing, and then there's lichen. I'm calling this lichen because it has like multiple colors of green in it. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching this podcast, there you go. Check it out on the website.
And if there's if there's a decent response to this, which there already has been in the show, people are going crazy over them. We can print more.
And we were talking about doing the Pelican t-shirt that we mentioned in a previous episode.
I know.
And we've got a few ideas.
People want shirts.
A Forest Friend shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Jason thinks I should make a t-shirt that says he's my 20.
Mm-hmm. Well,
like out of 80.
That joke hasn't gone over too well.
People haven't laughed. So but
maybe not. Maybe a very
that
limited.
Was your idea?
We have a 10 t-shirt run of he's my 20. Or I'm her 20. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. Let us know if that's of interest to you. But it's for sale right now.
They're $25.com. Sorry,
tour
people. They were $30 at the tour. They're $25 right now, but
we had to
$5
account
shipping
for the gas it added to our travel. So that extra $5, thank you. Some of them were signed. You had the ability to get them signed there. These will not be signed. That would take us a while, I think, maybe. I don't know. If you really wanted to, I guess we could, but...
Is there did you put a special request box?
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay. It was already hard enough for you to build the store.
I don't know how to, I'm not a website designer, so you're lucky you've got what you got. It's functional. So, Squarespace. This is not brought to you by Squarespace, but hey, Squarespace, if you want to sponsor...
Those are the kind of sponsors we told our podcast platform.
Yeah,
like the people who host us.
Yeah, it's very neutral. It's crunchy neutral.
Squarespace, Indeed,
Audible,
all the things that aren't really going to.
But we're very grateful for the sponsors that we do have.
We are grateful.
I'm sure they'll show up in the next 5 minutes or so. All right.
So tour chat.
One of my favorite things, I actually want to get into this a little bit first. One of my favorite things on tour was I got to listen to the response podcast of our...
Oh, you listened?
Yeah.
I didn't listen.
I know. I listened to most of it. The Prepping 2.0, which I don't really... Okay.
No, don't say that. We're not about tearing down other...
I'm not their platform or their listeners. I'm their response episode. It was.
We're not trying to get in a war with them.
No, I'm just going to give my thoughts on it because I
have not listened. So
listen. Here's my takeaway from it all. Their entire response hinged on. So we, for those of you who might not know, we did an episode about the apocalypse and how, honestly, our conclusion was, yep, if the apocalypse happened, we're dead, Mm-hmm. And this prepping podcast caught wind of it and decided to, and their actual title of the episode is like a really very crunchy critique of, whatever. It's a critique episode about us.
We can.
It is legitimately. Sure. Yeah. I should
listen to this before we.
I wouldn't waste your time because I'll tell you what it's about.
Okay.
What the whole thing hinges on is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You don't know about prepping, so you need to stay in your lane.
I don't know if you should do the voices, Jason.
I'm doing the voices. I don't care.
No, you can do the voices with me because I know you, but you
stay
can't.
In your lane.
You can't.
Really very crunchy.
You can't
stay in your lane.
Start doing voices.
You know what stay in your lane means? Stay in your lane means
only talk about what you know.
Only talk about what you are qualified to talk about, because you are not allowed to have an opinion about it if you are not an expert in that field. Ooh, I will tell you this. They, on the Prepping 2.0 podcast, would not like that if certain political affiliations were telling them the same thing about certain other things. Stay in your lane.
I'm so lost
I don't
right
care.
now.
I don't care. They know what I'm talking about. If they were told to stay in their lane, if they're talking about all the various things they're talking about, they wouldn't like it one bit. You know what I should
I
say?
don't even understand having lanes. I mean, I thought
Especially
about
for a
prepping.
comedy episode. We weren't trying to teach anybody anything.
Yeah, we're not making this a prepping podcast.
No.
We would fail.
We would fail, and we already said we would die in the apocalypse after we took out a couple of farms ourselves, okay? But we understand where we are in the prepping world. We get it. We're dead, okay? You're fine, preppers. We get it.
And we're not taking
We're
out
staying
any
in our
farms.
lane, so we're going to die. We could take their lane, though.
I will say a highlight of the tour for me was I have so many, but at the Franklin show,
Are you shifting gears?
the sweetest
Stay on your lane.
gal came up to me and gave me a letter, and it
Mm.
was so cool. She had like burned it, and it was
like
it
the
like looked
edges?
really cool. Yeah,
Oh,
like
cool.
you know. I don't think it was tea stained. I think it was actually burnt. It looks so old world, and like she put a lot of thought into it, and I thought it was really sweet. But on the back of the envelope, it had her address, and I plan on sending her a letter. But it
I'm
said
glad
like
that's what you were going to say.
she said, if the apocalypse happens, you can come to our homestead. Just don't steal
Just don't
it.
steal it.
I thought it was so cute.
Yeah. And see, that is a proper response to a comedy podcast talking about the apocalypse, not stay in your lane.
I think she was 14, so she got the joke.
Yeah, she got the joke. I mean, some of these people take themselves so seriously. They don't understand what comedy even is. Oh, I do. I do understand comedy.
Jason.
I don't care. I'm not taking this out. I don't care. She
With the voices?
Miss
though?
Shelby, what's her face? Because you can't see
Stop.
her face anywhere on the internet
Stop.
because she keeps it covered up.
Stop. You are trying. No.
Stay in your lane, Emily. My lane is making fun of people. I want to.
Not a lane.
It's my lane. My lane. I made it. I paved this path. It's my lane. I'm staying in it. You can't be in my lane.
Don't worry, Shelby. I'll stay in my lane. I want to be in
Well,
my own lane.
I want to tell her, it's like, well, Shelby, you're critiquing a comedy podcast. Stay in your lane. You know, wouldn't know funny if it hit you upside the head. Stay in your lane, Shelby.
I did not know you were so passionate about
Oh,
this.
I'm
You've
passionate
not
about-
mentioned it to me.
I'm annoyed by anybody that says stay in your lane about anything.
How many times was it said?
A lot. It basically, the whole, what I listened to of the episode, about 40 minutes in or however long it was, I don't know, 75% through, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay in my lane now. I'm never going to talk about preparing for the end of the world again.
It doesn't apply to us.
What doesn't?
The end of the world.
Why?
I was being sarcastic.
Oh, right. Well, we're not part of shared humanity, right? You know, we can't talk about any level of prepping because we're not human as they are.
Maybe it was the intro. It seemed a little too serious.
It was part of the joke. The intro was part of the joke. Do you remember what you said at the end of the intro?
What was it?
I'm going to see if Jason's worth keeping around. Like,
Or if he's
the
just
first thing is that you're going to
actually-
off your husband and see if he's worth keeping around, which we quickly determined he wasn't. Stay in your lane, Emily. You don't know about spousal murder. Actually,
yeah,
well,
you do.
yeah, you do. Not personally, but well, you know, if you look in past episodes, you, well, there's
It's
a
in my
family
past.
friend was
Yeah. Okay.
not by Emily, but
No.
well, I mean, given the last episode, we have to clarify. Anyway, so apparently there's a lot of lanes that you can't cross into, and that is my critique of her critique. Lanes are stupid.
I hope that we get a critique of our critique.
I hope we get
Of her
Ooh,
critique.
This is like Inception. We could just keep critiquing each other's critique. So we keep
know.
critiquing.
What was the verse that Jenny said? Don't. No, that's even ruder. I'm not going to say it. It's
John 3:17. Stay in your lane. There's nothing in the Bible that says stay in your lane.
The path is narrow.
Well, that's a very different thing.
Well, what is a lane?
That's more
and
like
what is
stay
a path?
on the lane, stay on the path. This is, no. I'm for anybody out there, I'm not adding to the scripture. I'm being sarcastic and not trying to be disrespectful in any way. I am a little bit disrespectful to their podcast. I think they're probably great human beings for who they are. And
walking it back.
I hate their podcast.
Don't say that.
But I love their listeners. If you guys want to come on over,
don't say that. Just stop.
Again, it's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know enough about their podcast to hate it. You know why? Because I don't listen to it. And she doesn't listen to ours either. She's like, here's how good her research was. She's like, well, they've been a podcast for, it looks like 4 years. And it's weird because they've only put out 44 episodes. It's like, hey, we're not just a podcast. In fact, we haven't even done a podcast for a whole year yet. Do some research. It's not that hard. There's little dates next to episodes. You only have to scroll back 44 of them, and look, it says May of last year.
What was that?
The door closed.
Our kids are outside playing with BB guns while we record this episode.
They're prepping.
I just heard a cannon.
And if you don't like that, stay in your lane. That's what I'm just going to say. Anytime somebody doesn't like something I say, stay in your lane. Say something negative to me, Emily.
I don't like the blue under that shirt.
Stay in your lane. You don't know anything about blue under a man's shirt. You don't wear men's shirts. Stay in your lane.
I am wearing men's pants.
You are in my lane with my pants.
I went to buy some pants before the show because I'll tell you, wearing dresses on the road, I don't have many pants. Wearing dresses on the road is so annoying. To go into a public bathroom with so much fabric is gross. It just doesn't work out that well. So anyway,
I'm going to agree with you because I'm staying in my lane.
Well,
I'm in my lane. I don't wear dresses on the road.
Pants. Why are girl pants so trendy? Why are the legs so wide or so skinny or so flared? Like, can we not just get some normal pants? Anyway, so I bought men's pants. I just bought the smallest size men's pants.
Kind of life hack you found, right?
Yeah, they fit nice. I like them. I've got this little hammer loop.
Yeah.
I look like I look like a gardener.
It kind of feels like you're crossing over into men's lane right now.
Well, I said that because it was like, well, maybe I do know something about the blue shirt because I'm wearing men's pants.
Yeah. So in order to get into a lane, you have to be a part of it in a way. We
did buy, I mean, it's in a storage unit across town, but the food, so.
Oh, well, yeah, we've prepped slightly.
I have some bricks.
We're in a narrow lane.
I have some bricks and a candle for the heat thing.
Stay in your lane. Goodness. All right. Well, enough of that. I will no longer be critiquing her critique of our critique and the critique anymore. So,
will you also no longer be wearing that blue shirt under that shirt?
Stay in your lane. You don't like it? I like it.
You like the blue under that?
It brings out my brown eyes.
No.
Is there anything that could bring out a person's eyes if their eyes are brown?
Brown? Like
brown does not bring out my brown eyes. Brown just...
Does this green bring out the green in my eyes?
Yeah, because yours kind of turn blue or green depending on what you're wearing, and it's very green right now. But yeah, nothing brings out a person's brown eyes.
I went to an iridologist once when I was in college.
You're going to have to explain what that is.
An iridologist is somebody who looks into your eyes, the iris of your eyes.
See, that sounds funny. Shouldn't that be an iridologist? No?
I don't know.
Why is it an iridologist who looks into your eyes?
Iridology is...
Audiology or something is for hearing, right?
Thank you, Jason. Good job.
Well, why
We're talking
you're
about
saying iridology for your eyes? That's weird. Okay,
it's
go
with
ahead.
an I. IR. Iridologist. Okay.
That's not how you spell I.
Anyway,
That's EY and I.
you're
Okay.
not getting it.
No.
Okay. So anyway, I went to this iridologist and I don't know. Anyway, they told me corn was going to kill me.
Corn?
Corn. I kind of believe them. I love corn though. But
is this like they look into your eyes and they see a vision of you getting lost in a corn maze and it just all starts falling over on you? And
I don't know. It has
smothered by
something to do with
corn?
the patterns and the colors. And anyway, so that is one thing. And then I saw a reel a few months ago that said if you have green eyes, that means your toxic load is so extreme, so high. And so then I was like, but I was pretty much born with green eyes. And they're saying it could have been passed on, the toxic load from my mom and from her mom.
Okay.
So we're just like, I'm loaded.
You know, I wish I had a sound effect button where I could just, but because I'm calling bull on that one.
There are some crunchy things that are kind of like, But
That's
if
not a
you,
crunchy thing. That's
if you-
but you know what?
that
I'm gonna
is-
stay
that's
in my
in the
lane.
crunchy
I'm just gonna stay in my
community.
lane. I've never studied iridology.
It's true.
I don't know anything about ears.
Okay, but my aunt just went to one, and now my mom wants to go, and she's like, "Will you go with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go with you just for the fun of it." It's like $18. You have to mail in the check. You can
Because
only
the
request
psycho told
by-
me corn was gonna kill me.
Well, I don't need a lot of corn.
I mean, you
But-
could say that about anybody. It's like, let's
Corn's
think.
really not
What's,
that good for
the
you,
most
yeah.
heavily glyphosated food. Oh, corn's gonna be your downfall. Well, corn's everybody's downfall. It's not that hard. Thank you, Miss Iridologist.
Wow,
Didn't even go to
I might
school
go.
to study ears.
Maybe I'll keep you guys posted. But I just had to say that about the green. So if you also saw that reel and you were thinking, oh, she's toxic. Her toxic load is high. Her eyes are green.
Oh. All right. Okay.
Maybe they just shift between blue and green because some days
That's not a thing. I don't care what people say.
You refuse to accept it.
I'm getting over into this lane and saying it's not a thing. I know nothing about iridology, but it's a lane that's way over there. You have to take 3 exits to get to that lane. So, but I'm in it. It's not real.
Let's talk about the tour.
All right. So there's the first night. Okay. From my perspective,
Stage fright. How did it all turn out? How did it all go?
it was rough the first night.
You did great though.
No, I think we came out on top in terms of like we did what we practiced. For the most part, I messed up my lines. I will say I have lines. It's not all ad-libbed, but it's kind of not to give too much away because we might still do another run of the tour, but it is kind of a stand-up routine with the two of us.
Ish.
And
It's not quite like- We're
it's
not
a back
like-
and forth.
Yeah, it's a back and forth.
And I just get out. We step out. There's a moment where we step out onto stage and the lights come up and, people are clapping and laughing and all this kind of stuff. And I have never had that many eyeballs on me at one time. And it was kind of
You
terrifying.
have, just not
Well, not in
where you
live.
can see them. Yeah.
Right. And so, what was the first show? Like 500-600 people, something like that. And it struck me. I'm just,
While you were up there?
oh yeah. It was.
See, I was surprised. I've been on stage before, not often, and I don't think I've been on stage where I'm looking at the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm
what
trying
do you
to
mean?
think.
You'd
Well,
had your
I've
back
been-
to the crowd? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I've been in a couple plays, and you're like when you're in a
Oh, because you're focused on the other characters and stuff, the other actors,
yeah.
and not so much the crowd.
I'm trying to think what play. Oh, yeah. I was like, I
Wanted
never
to be a
got.
tree in Annie.
Yeah, I never could get anything at our local theater. No, in high school, I was the well, I was the backstage, like a stagehand.
Well, that's not quite the same thing.
No, you don't look at the crowd because you're just trying to move.
Looking at you either.
No, but one time I played a guy, actually. So
fitting. You have guy pants on.
on.
Stay in your lane.
But you had to I was sitting in a chair at a psychiatrist's office, and so I was only looking at the psychiatrist.
So you were an extra, and you didn't even have lines.
I had very few lines, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, in this situation, we were staring right out at the crowd.
Oh yeah,
but the lights are so bright you can barely see.
In some of the places, yeah, I actually found some comfort in that. Because it kind of like makes the crowd blur into this orange haze. Except in a couple of places.
Cincinnati, I could see their faces all the way to the back.
Those three aren't laughing at all.
No, thankfully in Cincinnati there was like 2 rows in the front of crunchy people, and they laughed almost at everything we said. And
That's
so
wonderful.
It was like, we have a little row of cheerleaders.
Yeah, well, then they kind of...
Nobody else was laughing.
No, at least for the most part, everybody was. Yeah. Well, I messed up my lines on the first night pretty bad.
It was funny, though. It worked.
It did work out to end up being funny, but there was just a moment where it just wasn't coming out. And I think I even looked out and said, see, this is it. This is why I don't, this is why I have stage fright. Something like that. It fit, I guess.
I don't remember that.
I barely remember it. It was kind of an out-of-body experience in the worst possible way. I think I was dying. Actually, I just saw myself no, you're not ready to go yet, but I want to. I came back to my body. And we finished the set and it was good.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the nights, no major hangups on our end. Nobody else has messed up either. I
felt like there was a transitional point in my speech, or in our bit where it goes to me giving a speech, and I feel like the transition, when we practiced it, it didn't feel weird, but then in front of a live audience, it felt
well, we didn't get to practice in front of anybody.
I know. And so then I ended up changing it for the last 3 shows, I think. No.
Nothing major.
2 shows. Just a little.
Made it a little shorter.
Yeah. So that was kind of, it's kind of interesting. You have to read the audience and see what's working and what's not. But whenever you have other elements, we had this video that weaves throughout the entire show, you can't just
Right. It has to stick with the theme. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we have this overall cohesive theme of the show, which ties in with the videos. And so there are things that I think we might have changed in the immediate, okay, this joke didn't land as like we thought it would, but it can't change because it ties in to the whole show.
Right.
Which is fine.
That's kind of tricky when there's 2 people involved or multiple people involved. If it was just one person, they can just
That's
change.
the difference between what we so that's why it's sort of a mix of stand up and almost I don't want to say a play, but an act in a way, and that it does have this story.
I'd say, it's more of an act.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a 2-person act that has a couple of stand-up elements to it. But anyway, there wasn't a show where people were booing us and throwing things at us, so that was good. And everybody said after the show that they loved it.
Yeah.
Except for the people who stormed out. So,
I didn't see
I'm just kidding.
Storm out.
I'm kidding.
It was great. No, I thought it was really good. A few things that, just seeing people's faces who listen to us or watch our content, it felt...
We're so grateful for you.
We wouldn't get to do this without you guys. And so I felt really blessed to have that experience. So many people walked up and poked me and they're like, you're real.
Oh.
And I wanted to poke them and be like, you're real.
You're real. You're not just a number. Yeah. A lot of poking going on.
Yeah.
No.
I will say several people came up and said, I'm so-and-so from their handle. And I felt kind of bad that I couldn't recognize everyone. I did recognize a lot of them, but just from seeing their comments regularly,
Yeah. Well, it's still really neat. And the bad ones are when they're like, hey, I messaged you. I sent you an email. And I usually field most of the emails. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm not too great at always answering those, or, But anyway,
We got some really cool gifts. Somebody made a doormat that said,
that was
leave
cool.
your worries and your shoes at the door. It's like
Yes.
an amazing gift. They
Very
went in
cool.
with their friends and ordered it on Etsy. I got a picture frame, pickled beets, a dozen eggs. I'm rich.
I got a pack of Oreos, Emily.
I know,
It
and
was
you
amazing.
ate them.
I did immediately. As soon as
shared
everybody,
them with the rich kids.
yep. I broke them open, and as soon as the line was done with signing and pictures, and shared it with all the.
Josh came up to me and said I had nothing to do with that, and I said, I know you didn't. They weren't double stuffed, and he thought that was hilarious. Felt like that was a win.
Yeah. I mean, double stuffed is quite better, but I'll take.
They're podcast listeners, Jason.
Well, next time you come to a show, if you don't mind, if they could be a little bit double stuffed, maybe bring some raw milk.
You
while you're
still
at it.
enjoyed them.
No, of course I did. They were amazing. Any Oreo.
I don't know about any. What, like you sent me a picture of the grocery store.
Oh, like the extra
you came
stuff?
back and you were like, it's actually an entire aisle.
Yeah.
There's so many different flavors of
Yeah,
Oreos
any
now.
of the regular style. Like pretty much just regular and double stuffed. And I think when it gets into extra stuffed, it becomes a soft cookie at that point.
It's a
and
little
that's a little
much.
different. That's like a Debbie cake or something, which, not as into those.
Someone
Oreos.
sent me a homemade Oreo recipe, and I planned to do it for you for Valentine's Day, and I didn't.
It wouldn't be the same.
You don't think
They have a
you don't think I
certain
could do it?
formula. I think you can do it, and I
Think
think you can
about,
make a
like-
great cookie, but I don't think you can make an Oreo cookie.
Challenge accepted.
I will be your
I
tester.
will report.
I would be
back.
happy to test that out.
They do. I think is it made of palm oil? Is the center palm oil?
I don't know. It's actually not the worst thing on the shelf. I can say, I just mean that
You've looked.
I've looked at the ingredients. It's not like, it's not great.
Yeah,
It's not good, but it's not like,
the worst.
it's not
Does
the
it have
worst out of everything.
artificial flavoring?
I'm sure it has something, but yeah, it
From
might.
what I remember, they taste kind of natural, right? Like the cocoa powder taste. No?
I don't know, but it's from what you remember. Yeah, you didn't. Oh, did you eat one of them? No, you didn't. Did you eat one?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I passed them around, so you could have snuck one and me not even know it.
Never.
It would have been tempting.
Never.
I had like 4.
in a million years.
They're not that bad. Million years, really? They probably last a million years.
We probably need to be prepping Oreos.
Prepping Oreos.
Let's
Stay in your
start-
lane.
Let's start our own like prepping.
Twinkies, Oreos,
Yeah.
Hostess brand stuff that'll last forever.
Comment prep if you want us to send you a list of Little Debbie cakes and cookies.
You can comment prep,
Nabisco.
but we're not actually going to do this. So I'm happy for the engagement, though.
Is Nabisco who owns Oreo?
Probably, yeah. Something
Really?
like that.
They came out with Oreo, and the best they could do with those chocolate chip cookies. That's the best they could do.
What chocolate? Like, Chips
You know,
Ahoy?
like- yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Chips Ahoy. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, those aren't that great. I would take homemade any day over those. But see, the thing about Oreos is that they're their own
Class
kind of
cookie.
thing.
Yeah.
They're not trying to replicate a homemade Oreo or a homemade chocolate chip cookie,
Right.
which those are delicious.
I got 2 kinds of honey. 2
Yeah, there was a hot honey from
Farmstead. I keep saying Farmstead. Homestead Gourmet. They're at the Franklin Farmers Market.
yeah.
If you happen to be, and they're about to get an online store too.
Very
Their
cool.
dressings are really yummy, seed oil free, delicious. I think I mentioned in my stories on Instagram, I've met him previously, and he said it was so funny. I walked by his booth, and he was like, "What? Can you look at my ingredients? Because my wife and I, we talk all the time about whether or not we should just compromise a little on our ingredients so that it would be cheaper for us."
Right.
And then we keep going back to what if Really Very Crunchy came and picked up
It's
our
amazing.
dressing and looked at it? What would she say if we compromised on our ingredients? And there I was, picking it up, looking at it.
There
And
you
it,
go.
like, it was just
That's
so funny. And he was
cool.
like, I feel so good about my choices.
That's awesome. I didn't know that was who that was.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so
Gotcha.
They came to our show. Super nice. His wife is a birthing midwife.
Yeah, she seemed really
so
cool.
If we end up trying for a third, maybe I'll go try and give birth in their shack.
Yeah, they have a birthing shack.
They want to build one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't
You're
know
like,
how I feel about that.
I don't know.
I mean, the descriptor, maybe change the name and, marketing. Let's market it as something a little different
Stay in your
than
lane.
the birthing shack. Yeah, I got to stay in my lane here. Maybe birthing shacks are what people really want and desire these days, but marketing is my lane. What are you talking about? I just thought about that. No, birthing, that merges. The prepper birthing shack. That's a different lane altogether.
That would
birthing
be
in an apocalypse.
Wait, she's set.
Yeah.
That's a definite needed
Oh yeah.
thing.
Yeah. A birthing shack in the apocalypse.
Or just someone who's skilled in that, arena.
Yeah.
And not just in a hospital setting, because it would be totally different.
Hmm.
So I told her my issue where my water breaks and nothing happens.
Mhm.
And she said that she had a mom go 2 weeks once after her water broke. So I'm not recommending that. I don't know anything about it. That
Okay.
would freak me out.
I'm not in my lane at all.
I'm not in my lane either.
But that sounds dangerous to me. I don't like it.
She
one
said the
bit.
mom and baby were totally healthy. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe her.
you don't listen to me. Don't take, this is not
This is
medical
not our
advice.
lane.
We're not in our lane.
We are not in our lane. We have crossed over.
But when she said that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a
But
little
it's so
scary.
cool to and she's a second generation midwife, I guess.
Mm.
So she's heard everything from her mom. And then just to have all that wisdom
Yeah.
is really cool.
Well,
and see all those
that's-
different scenarios. And
In
that
modern
would be such a
medicine,
cool
that
job.
type of thing is just lost.
Mhm.
It's that knowledge has been lost. So there's very few people who know those kind of
Modern
things.
medicine has saved lives, though. So
Oh no, modern medicine is not my lane either. Let me say something about being in my lane, if I may, one more time. If I just stayed in my lane all the time, I wouldn't talk about anything.
right.
And I
You
think that's
can-
true for most people.
Yeah, you can form opinions on things that you're not an expert
No.
in.
Nope. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Nope. Sorry. I could go on and on about that. Anyway, one other thing that I learned during the tour itself is by show 3, the nervousness that I had at the beginning shifted to this anticipation, this high energy. Yeah, I would say I was still nervous, but not in the same way. It wasn't the nervousness of just being in front of 600 people. It was a nervousness of just I'm ready, and then I started stretching and doing different things to let out some of that energy and shake it out kind of thing. And I felt much better on stage.
Which
more
is,
flowing, more free.
I
Felt more prepared.
more nervous with each show.
That's interesting.
I was like, oh, that was pretty good. The next time it's probably gonna fail.
You're really down on yourself, though. That's what I don't understand. It's that comes from you just being really down on yourself, I think.
Because lack of confidence, I guess. I don't know. But I do think I have found the dopamine hits from being in front of a live audience are high.
Yeah.
Extreme.
Yeah.
So then, to come home, last night you were like, you seem depressed.
Yeah.
It's I'm having to wean off cold turkey of all that dopamine, just bam, bam,
Well, then
bam,
the lines
in your face.
afterwards
Yeah,
of,
and then the lines
hundreds of people giving you hugs and telling you how much they love you. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm just back to reality.
Yeah. It's wait, my family doesn't dote on me like this.
I know. The first night I was like, I need to do this more often.
I know. It's
This is really nice.
yeah. I need to just start signing your shirt or something. No, you need to start signing my shirt, and I need to tell you how much I adore your every move.
We should talk to each other
as though we're fans.
As though we're fans.
That'd get a little old. I think from you and me.
Jason,
it doesn't get old from other people.
So funny. I just love watching you.
You know, that would be nice once in a while.
Day.
That would be nice once in a while if I could hear it at least once a month. Oh yeah, that script was fine. It was okay. I guess we could film it. See how it goes. Anyway, yeah, it was quite the experience. And some of these fans, man, the stories they have.
There was one guy named Silas.
Yeah.
He rode down the interstate on an electric scooter.
Silas, what are you doing?
Car was in the shop.
Here's the thing about Silas.
Don't recommend, but really appreciate the enthusiasm. And he was like, I don't know how old he was, 20s? Do you think he's in his 20s?
20s, yeah, maybe.
Just really cool meeting him. And
such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Can I say this, Silas, if you're listening? I noticed you walked out of that building with your scooter, sans a helmet. Man, don't risk your life for a really very crunchy show. Ride that on the interstate. I hope he had a helmet outside somewhere. I don't know.
And then we got to talk to this sweet and amazing woman who had a touching story about her brother,
Oh,
Luke,
my goodness. Yeah.
who in his final days couldn't speak. And I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this. He couldn't speak anymore. He was really sick from cancer, and he texted her like, let's watch some really very crunchy videos.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
She said he couldn't laugh anymore, but she could see like the joy in his face as they were bonding over that. I mean, I was just in tears.
All three of us were. It was a really beautiful moment, and I'm glad it was towards the end of the line too, because I don't know how I could have gone through the rest of the line with, that was so touching, so unbelievable, and it opens your eyes to, you just have no idea.
No idea what people are going through.
No clue.
Yeah, there's a lot of tragedy out there.
And I mean, I feel honored to have even been a small, tiny part of that person's life, and to have brought any amount of joy in a terrible situation. So, yeah.
So thank you, everyone who shared your stories and told us things, and just opened yourselves up to us. Like,
yeah.
It's really cool to get to be a part of people's lives. Someone said we're like a household name, and they have another Jason in their life.
Oh.
And so they'll be like Jason with Emily or Jason with April or whatever the person's name was.
Yeah.
When they're talking about it, because
yeah. Oh, that's funny.
And we met another couple. Well, I met the girl Emily, and she's married to a Jason. Mm-hmm. So it just makes it even funnier.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was just, like you said before, it was so cool to just, I mean, it's a small fraction of the people who see the videos, but it's so cool to put faces to names and just see people, and particularly listeners of the podcast. I was so encouraged with the podcast
Jason's
stuff.
Been wanting to quit the podcast, sort of.
I have not wanted to quit the podcast. I just have like been unsure about it.
We committed to a year.
Yeah.
That's what,
which
in
we're
the
approaching
beginning.
a year.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't know.
Well, because you don't, it's hard to get feedback. There are comments, and there are people who say, I love the podcast. It's not, you don't always know how it's working. Even whatever little metrics we get, you don't know what's catching on, what's doing well, and if people actually care about it. Because I mean, we haven't made it to 1,000 reviews yet, and if we just got there, just hit that 5-star button on whatever app you're listening to, maybe I would know. Before the year is up.
Will you commit to another year?
Yeah, I think I will.
If we get 1,000 reviews.
If we got 1,000 reviews, I think I would. Yeah, I think so. No, I think just even the tour, honestly, hearing from people and talking to people, I think, I mean, yeah, let's give it another year, see how it goes. And again, it's not just, we enjoy doing it. We really enjoy doing it, but it is work. I mean, it's there's work to it that I don't want to take away from our videos and things like that if this isn't, if this isn't, what am I trying to say?
Cost benefit analysis, right?
Yeah, but I hate saying that because I really love our podcast listeners and I really love doing the podcast. So it's not all metrics is what I'm trying to say. It's not just metrics for me, but at the end of the day, you have to, balance your time.
This does feel like more of your project.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sure.
I'm in it.
Absolutely.
It's been a joy to me to sit down and talk to you.
I love it.
But it was your idea. Well, the whole really very crunchy thing, honestly.
I don't know whether to say you're welcome or I'm sorry. No. Again, just what I was getting at is that at the end of the tour, just every night, I'm so encouraged just by the podcast itself, not just the videos, but the podcast itself. I'm so encouraged to keep going, to keep trying and keep bringing the best possible content we can. And I love it even more, just knowing there are people, kids, parents, people talking about, there's one couple that says they love somebody said on Wednesday mornings, they go to what together?
They volunteer and drive a child who has special needs somewhere, like to an appointment or something, and then on their way back, they
every
listen to our
Wednesday
podcast.
it's like, and then there's
mother-daughter. It was a mother-daughter duo.
Yeah, and I mean, there's this other couple. Like every Wednesday, they lay in bed in the evening and listen to the Really Very Crunchy podcast. So
like a date.
It's cool. Hey, we're here for your date. It's a double date. We're having a double date. Hope you're staying in your lane out there. I don't know what that means, but I'm just okay. Anyway. So, would we do it again? The tour, Emily, to wrap it up. Would you do it again?
Yeah.
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 I would too.
Totally.
I would too.
And it's so funny because I remember before we left, I told my friend, I was like, I think this is sort of a trial run for the Urchas, and they're like kind of testing us to see, like just testing it out, but they're kind of trying to convince us to do it long term.
Yeah.
And I said, like, there's no way, basically.
You said it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just felt like a lot,
Well, it certainly was a lot to prepare for it.
But now, post-show, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would totally do it again.
Yeah, I would. I'm not going to do a, 50-week tour or anything. The problem is that we also do videos, we also do a podcast, and so there are other things that have to happen. So it just has to make sense on a time level. So if there is time, I could see us doing a West Coast tour, an East Coast tour. If people will have us, I'm up for it. I think it'll be fun. Nothing on the books yet. But maybe
we do have a few things coming up, though.
Let's hear it.
The Modern Homestead Convention in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'll be there. It's in June. I think you just get on the. Can you post a link?
I will
Jason?
post a link. Yes.
Post a link there. So if you're up in Idaho, maybe I'll use some of my speech from the. You might get a taste of the tour.
Yeah. No.
Plus extra stuff. And then also in late October, early November, another homesteading, what was it called? The Homestead Retreat? Cultivate Retreat.
Yeah, Cultivate Homestead Retreat.
Yeah. They're doing another one. That's an overnight retreat. I loved it last year. That's where I made my first tiny hand-woven basket.
It's why we have long bows for our prepping season.
I did an indigo dyed tea towel. Like, there were some cool workshops, and that's a really fun time. And it was just so beautiful, and the food was so good. The food alone felt worth it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm like,
can you post a link to that one as well?
I will.
Okay. And that one, they have a limited number And it's pretty cool because you just
Are
get to hang
tickets
out.
open for that yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think the pre-sale is over. I dropped the ball on sharing about that.
It's got a while.
Yeah.
There's a while.
So.
It'll fill up.
Okay.
And then we still have merch. I don't know if they might be gone by the end of this episode. However, all right, if you do want a really very crunchy t-shirt, check out the link below. And it should take you to the website. It should work out.
Okie doke.
All right.
Well, thanks again for listening, and thanks to everyone who made it out to the tour. We so appreciate you.
We had such a wonderful time.
And we will hopefully see you again soon.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.